still dark, but the sun had finally started to peek over the horizon. It wasn't exactly morning, but then it was never truly day or night either in the Lunar Colonies. Brii had just gotten attached to those concepts during her time on Earth. There were still a few hours left on the designated nighttime hours, so the street remained illuminated only by abrasive, occasionally flashing neon lights. The thickets of short, densely packed buildings and signage always gave the commercial district a claustrophobic, over-stimulating atmosphere. The worst offender by far was that massive jumbotron in the central plaza. The light from the screen was oppressive, drowning out all life around it and turning people walking through the hub into featureless silhouettes. Day in and day out, it showed nothing but emergency news bulletins and advertisements from the companies that already had a vice grip on its loyal consumers. Yeah. It had become a world where lives were reduced to commodities. The old woman sighed, wondering when she had gotten so cynical and jaded. When she was young, the prospects of the future seemed so inviting. Flying cars, virtual augmented reality innovations, space travel, androids, advanced AI, easier to open jars. Yes, we need that. Some of those dreams had come to pass, but not all in the way her idealistic younger self would have hoped. She looked into the glowing white orb through one of the windows at the edge of the ever-spinning station and smiled tiredly. Sadly, it would be soon out of sight from this spot. It's nearly a month, my friend. I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it to the viewing platform in time to greet you properly. She shuffled her way to the tram station, pausing briefly when she noticed someone already there. There were two benches. The right side of the further one was currently occupied by a young woman. No compelled in hand, the AR visor obscuring her vision. Undistracted youth? Blasphemy. I really am an old bitter hag if that's the first thing I noticed. Maria murmured under her breath with an insincere chuckle. She had helped create such technologies after all. If only it wasn't squandered on social media fads and pleas for attention. And she certainly didn't believe, or at least want to admit to, the old part being true. She joked about it and was certainly exploited when it was to her benefit. But hearing someone younger impose her age on her with an indignant and obstinate fire in her soul. Dismissing such idle thoughts, she glanced back over to the stranger, her curiosity piqued. The woman seemed to be smiling wistfully and looking at the sunrise as well. A fellow solar appreciator, perhaps? Maria's gaze fell to the two benches. A truly adverse choice lay ahead of her. Well, maybe we can strike an interesting conversation. Well, hello there. Would it be alright if I took a seat here? The old woman cocked her head a bit and looked at the newfound companion. She seemed to take a moment to fully parse the question before smiling warmly and nodding. Of course. Please take a seat. Maria held her hand to her mouth and shorted shortly before taking her spot on the bench. Oh my, what a polite young lady you are. Thank you very much, ma'am. She spoke in a bright but direct voice. A small smile was ever so present on her face, even as she turned back to gaze at seemingly nothing in particular. I guess don't make an awkward attempt conversation. It wasn't like Maria's strike up a conversation on her own. She usually kept to herself. But perhaps she had grown lonely after all these years away from friends and family. Or perhaps she was simply in the mood for a casual conversation. Gathering as much willpower as she could muster, she finally spoke again. I'm sure you have no interest in the old lady's prattling, but if you don't mind, I'd like to chat. The woman turned her head to Maria and looked at her with deep, almost unfathomable eyes. For a moment, Maria thought she was about to be told off. She bit down her tongue slightly as if she scolded herself for her impulsiveness. Suddenly, the young woman's face split into a warm smile. Of course. I love a friendly chat. That's good. Maria felt herself exhale a breath she didn't know she was holding. Had it really been so long since she had socialized with a stranger? Even the process of striking up a conversation was this agonizing? Well, first thing was first. I needed to get those pesky introductions out the way. That much she could manage. My name is Maria. May I ask yours? You can call me Ada. My family does, after all. She giggled a bit, her voice clear and charming like a bell. What a cute, if not slightly odd, girl. And someone Maria felt an immediate kinship with as well. Maria hadn't encountered someone like Ada quite for some time, felt compelled to get to know her, in spite of herself. Ada, what a lovely name. Something about it feels so familiar. She quickly cleared her throat, knowing how strange a statement that was in retrospect. It's nice to meet you, Ada. It's nice to meet you as well, ma'am. Ada seemed like she was particularly glowing, exuding a comforting energy when she spoke. Oh, Maria's fine. Ma'am sounds a bit stuffy. A ma'am is far more appropriate. I wouldn't want to be rude, after all. Maria never liked being referred to in such an impersonal way, but decided not to press the issue for now. Alright, suit yourself. Is it alright with you? Or should I be calling you something more appropriate? He said it with a cheeky tone. Ada didn't seem to quite pick up on it. Shook her head politely. It is fine with me. Maria chuckled to herself, finding the girl a bit dense, but also quite charming. Maybe she just, I don't know. Well then, Ada, let's enjoy a nice conversation then, shall we? I guess we should start with why she's there. What brings you all the way out here? Are you going to the viewing platform to watch the sunrise as well? Oh, my family asked me to wait here. They said someone should be coming by soon to pick me up. Family left her alone out here? Seemed extremely negligent, but it didn't appear to concern in the slightest. Just take care of yourself, and be careful not to talk to any strangers. She realized the silliness of her own words right as they left her mouth. Ada just smiled and nodded politely, not indicating she caught on to the goof. Yes, of course. I'll be careful. Maria wasn't sure if she was grateful that Ada hadn't called out her fox paws, or if she was more embarrassed she didn't have the opportunity to feebly argue her case. Still, that's very responsible of them, don't you think? I wouldn't say so. I'm pretty independent, after all. I'll need a chaperone at all times. Maria chuckled, shaking her head. You sound like my daughter. She was always running off on her own. Maybe if Maria had kept a closer eye on the girl, things would have ended up differently. But she was far too busy with work to hover over a belligerent child. At least that's what she tried to convince herself. Just take care not to worry your family, alright? Even if they don't show it. They do worry. Thank you. I'll keep that in mind. I guess we could ask her about her hobbies. Or before we get into like the little stuff, we'll talk about the big stuff, sort of. Talk about life on Earth. Have you been to Earth, Ada? Maria felt as though she probably already knew the answer, but wanted to introduce the topic for discussion, regardless. I haven't. I never left the moon. I've heard Earth is a lovely place with lots of wild plants and animals. It sounds very different from the orbital and lunar colonies. Well, some parts are certainly lovely, and it is indeed quite different from extraterrestrial colonies. The buildings there are much taller for one. A lot of the natural environment has been ravaged by greedy corporations, but the parts that do remain are unlike anything here. Maria couldn't tell if Ada's gaze was out of politeness or genuine interest. Either way, she continued, wrapped up in the pride of her own extensive knowledge of that topic. I actually worked with a group of scientists who did field research, you know. Of course, I mainly handled the software and equipment, but it was still a very rewarding experience. Even met my late husband that way. We were so young and bright-eyed at the time. We thought we could change the world. Her world seemed like quite a tall task these days, but I like to think even changing a single life is still worth the effort. Ada's eyes were still glued to Maria as she spoke, as she nodded enthusiastically at the conclusion. Wow, elders truly are wise. Maria pursed her lips and bit her tongue. Hearing someone else call her an elder out loud made it feel a lot less humorous and far more real. Well, it's not fun to know that you are older, I guess. Life on Lunar Colonies? How do you like life on the Lunar Colonies? Have you considered living elsewhere? People didn't tend to remain in the colonies for long. It was an amazing and impressive sight to tourists and newcomers, but it started to feel tiny and restricted to people that had known nothing else their whole lives. Despite that, Ada firmly shook her head. Of course not. This is where my family lives. I wouldn't be unable to leave without them. Besides, I'm a bit of a homebody anyway. I don't leave home often. Sounds like there's still a lot you haven't experienced here at the colony. Have you been to the viewing platform? Or the botanical gardens? And what about the anti-grav stadium? Ever seen the game in person? Maria was deciding not a homebody and would drag her aching mass of a body to wherever location piqued her interest. She was also quite enthusiastic about being the more knowledgeable one regarding the landmarks and attractions for once. Not been to or done any of those things, no. These sound quite fun, though. If you were my daughter, I'd drag you all across the entire station. She paused, realized she was getting ahead of herself. Feelings of guilt all started to bubble up in her chest as she went to her mind. She was reminded that she had already squandered such a relationship. Ada's voice brought her back from those thoughts, however. That would be nice. Maria wasn't sure how Ada was able to meet her gaze after such an awkward statement. Nothing about her demeanor seemed to change, and the conversation continued as if nothing had happened. I guess we could offer some candy? Despite her self-mocking humor regarding the matter, Maria was still quite adamant that she was, in fact, not that old yet. But something still compelled her to engage in what some would consider to be the ultimate expressions of old ladyism, offering candy to a youngster. After a moment of digging through her bag, she produced a piece of hard candy. Lunar Fizz was a favorite of hers. The popping and crackling sensation it produced was adamantly quite delightful. Would you like a piece of candy, Ada? I have plenty where that came from. She held out the tasty treat in her palm, offering it to Ada. Oh, thank you, that's very kind, but fortunately I can't eat that. Mia resisted the pout and popped the candy in her own mouth and said, a shame Ada wouldn't be able to enjoy such a tasty treat. Not they had warned her about their corrosive nature, but she was a stubborn woman and a bit of a contrarian as well. Besides, her own innards were still biological after all this time, mostly. Suit yourself, I'm not going to let anybody, mine or otherwise, tell me what I should put in it. Her words were muffled by both the candy and the crackling sound it produced. She gave her companion a cocksure grin, to which Ada giggled sweetly. I guess we'll talk about family. They were chat for long enough that Maria felt embroiled. To get off a bit more personal. So your family, tell me more about them. She had treaded carefully around the topic like this, but Maria was a bit suspicious. Couldn't help but press the issue. Oh, they're wonderful. Two loving parents and a little rambunctious Charles. I also have a younger sister on the way. Maria scanned Ada's face for any tells from an indicator her family was mistreating her in some way. Everyone's smile was impenetrable, however. She might just have one of those perfect families, Hopefully, wife and the husband married for if it's a long time, they're not oh, me and my wife and been together for this many years. I cheated a couple times, might have struck her here and there, but we still have a nice stable marriage, and that stuff isn't healthy. That's just hiding the truth of what's going on. What about your own family? Not only was she unable to glean any pertinent information, now the question had been turned back around to her. She sighed in defeat. My family? It's complicated, I suppose, or at least it was. Right now, I suppose I could say I don't have any. My husband is gone, my daughter has been estranged from my life for years now. I don't think I was a bad mother, but sometimes ideological rifts can't be repaired. She decided on her own path, and that was one I couldn't be a part of. I wish she's so freely admitting such a thing to someone who essentially was a stranger. Perhaps it was because Ada was a stranger and it felt so cathartic speaking to her. Families separate sometimes, don't they? Perhaps one day my own family will no longer need me. If so, I hope my new sister will be able to take care for them even better than I. Maria felt the chill run down her spine. She said so matter-of-factly, with that same smile, no less. Hobbies? What sort of things do you like to do, Ada? Oh, that's great. That felt weird. Ada responded quickly with a chipper tone. I like to cook and clean for my family. I can even fix things around the house pretty competently. I feel like she's a robot of some sort. Maria groaned a bit and shook her head in disbelief. Those aren't hobbies, those are chores. Surely there's something you enjoy doing for the sake of it. It took a moment to ponder the question, seemingly trying to find an answer that would satisfy Maria. I like watching things. Mia gave her an inquisitive look, not only dismissing the response despite how strange it seemed. Yes, like right now, I like watching people walk through the city and watching the sun through their station windows. I'm sure it sounds simple to you, but it's the truth. It wasn't the sort of answer Maria was expecting, but it sounded like Ada was a simple woman of simple pleasures. Maria couldn't fault her for that. What about you? You sound like you have more exciting hobbies, ma'am. Well, I wouldn't claim my hobbies are more exciting. I do like to tinker with things. Software, devices, that sort of thing. I also enjoy new and enriching experiences. That's why I find myself unable to stay in the same place for very long. I went all over Earth and all my travels have brought me here. Oh, you must lead such an interesting, adventurous life. Mia puffed her chest a bit. Being so worldly and well-traveled was admitting a point of pride for her. Okay. Let's talk about the, well, that's about the love life. We don't have that much time left. Say that. Is there anyone special in your life? Maria had left curiosity override her sense of tact, it seemed. Of course, my family. She responded so brightly innocently that Maria almost left it at that. Almost. No, I mean like a boyfriend or girlfriend or romantic companion, anything like that. For once, Ada's expression became flat and unamused. No, we would not do that sort of thing. Right. Well, fair enough. Cole's response was immediately well-deserved. I guess we'll talk about the sunrise. Isn't that just lovely? Maria gave a grand gesture towards the sun in all of its brilliance. For a few short minutes it will be viewable from the spot on the station. But as they were constantly moving to create gravity in the colonies, soon it would be out of sight. For this reason, Maria was adamant about taking the tram to the viewing platform. She wished to watch the sunrise uninterrupted. Much better than that gaudy artificial sun. You don't like the artificial sun? I think it's nice and comforting. Maria was a bit surprised at this opinion and considered it for a moment. I suppose it is truly impressive that it exists in the first place. It's not particularly accurate, though. Her pitch became higher and she began to speak faster as her pedantic nature revealed itself in full. The trajectory is completely off, and a yellow sun in space with no atmosphere? Ridiculous. Oh, and because the colony is essentially a giant centrifuge ring. Don't be that person, Maria. She heard a little voice in her head chide. Yeah, don't be that person. She paused to collect herself before speaking again, forcing herself to keep a more even tone this time. I prefer the real thing because it's just such a natural marvel, and these moments feel like an event, something to look forward to. Ada nodded politely as Maria spoke before offering her own perspective. I like the artificial sun because it brings people light when there otherwise isn't any. The real sun isn't here for nearly 30 days at a time. Humans have created one of their own to brighten their lives themselves, instead of waiting for it to come from somewhere else. Maria quirked her brow, surprised, but Emily found herself convinced by this perspective. She wasn't a technology denier, far from it. Perhaps she had been taking human ingenuity for granted lately. Oh, we're out of time. Maria checked the time on her compound. Well, our ride should be here any minute now. As she spoke, the tram appeared, zipping down the street until it came to a rather sudden halt in front of them. The automatic door opened, beckoning Maria to enter. Take care, Ada, and have a lovely lunar day. Ada smiled sweetly and nodded, politely waving Maria off. I will, and I hope you enjoy the sunrise. I'm sure it's a lovely sight. The two exchanged their brief goodbyes, as Maria as well was aware that the tram was a fickle and patient beast. It had already started to blare its horn, but alert loudly to remind her to board. I hear you. I'm coming. She grumbled a bit as she dragged herself into the tram and took the seat farthest to the back. As the tram started to move back in the opposite direction, she glanced back one last time at Ada and waved at her from behind the window. Such a nice girl. I hope she's well taken care of. There was a strange feeling in the pit of her chest, something she couldn't quite figure out. Perhaps she should have tried to learn more about the young woman. Then again, she'd always been a rather nosy person, and someone like that was already naturally intriguing to her. I really didn't learn how to mind my own business. Maria chuckled to herself as the tram reached the incline to the viewing platform. Almost there, old friend. Let's hope the sunrise is another good one. Invariable. Ending D. Made with Renpy. And here's all the... Shoot, I was in the way. Whoa. My bad on that. Special thanks to my editors, bug testers, and proofreaders, and moral support, Holloman and Brittany. Couldn't have done it without you. Thanks for playing. Alright, thank you for making this game. It's cute. So yeah, that was ending D of Sunrise on the Moon. If you like this game, you know, you want to play it, I will link that below. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, you know, it is all appreciated. Share it even, you know, if you want to. So yeah, it was really cute. I really enjoyed it. It was, you know, nice, kind of like just, you know, well put together. Like there's nothing wrong with it, like, at all. No, I really am curious about Ada. I feel like she was a robot, but I don't know, some type of like AI. But I don't know if y'all want to figure out, you know, the other endings. Of course, I'll link it below so you can play this game. But with that being said, hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all in the next one.